as I'm working out this thing, going, okay, I think I'm gonna, like, because you want to do like month to month, but then say days, and that's a whole thing that I'm trying to work out as I plan this for how, because of like phase 1s, phase 2s, phase 3s. And also like in my mind going, okay, it's, you know, because we do like our planning week to week and then our days. And I say that because so many people try to follow a diet or a plan based on, okay, this is like what I'm going to eat every day, when really if we looked at it over a week, sometimes what we need in one day might be a little bit different. And I'm kind of realizing that too, like there's sometimes we need a little bit higher calories maybe in a day and then the next day not, depending on what you're wanting to do, right? And training and different things. So for example, I haven't been to the gym in a while. I did, you know, my first type of workout or whatever for weights. And I even had to have like a massage because it was like, okay, like yesterday, because my legs, my body, and I didn't do what they said. What I once did, I was like, no way. And then you got to go back and then gradual, but like it was to be expected. And I knew that. And then you got to walk out and flush out and different things. Okay, now how does my body feel? Okay, what, like the first thing that comes to mind after this is, well, I don't want to feel sore in this way. So you got to get the strength back. So then it becomes the norm. And that's kind of really the metaphor of doing this, right? This stretching the brain to do, and then like, so that these things become the norm of how we treat ourselves and taking care of ourselves. So changing that self-talk. I was watching Jim Quick yesterday's speech that he was making about, he was talking about like the brain, right? And as a muscle, like needing the rest just the same after like a workout, the same type of thing. So when we work our muscles, right, we're working our muscles, that's not the time our muscles are growing, right? That's the time we're breaking them down. Then we need that's why so many people don't understand though too, like you need the proper amount of rest to recover, and that's when it grows, right? So that's the pattern. And funny enough, so many people don't do that or realize that with their brain, or they're not aware of what they're doing with their brain, where it's going, where the thoughts are going, making an effort for the learning, and then giving it a break and actually going, okay, stop. And I realized after watching that and him saying that, I went, guilty, because I feel so guilty all of the time when I'm not always working, always being productive. That was my issue in life, that I felt like it just comes back to my childhood and different things and reasons, that if I wasn't being productive all of the time, like, and that's like this guilt, and it's in my brain, even though I was taking the rest, and in my depression, I had to understand that deep rest was being productive. So nothing, right? Because the hardest thing with being in a clinical depression was the fact, like, I'm wasting my life. This is like, you know, oh my God, I'm never going to get out of this. The self-talk in that depression. So depression is very real, but we have to do the things to take care of ourselves and everything else. However, taking care of ourselves when we're under depression, that's the hard part. So how do we do that? And the first thing, even if you can't move your body and all of that, is learning that it's okay. Like saying, no, this is where I need to be. My body obviously is saying I need deep rest. My brain is saying I need deep rest. What can I do with it? And that's where I'm very, like, I found ways to be very creative in the process that saved my life. And that's when I said, because there wasn't the help that existed that I needed, that I saw millions of people need. I'm like, well, then I'm going to create it. And I'm in the process of doing that. And it's, you know, so in the grand scheme of things, I'm in a completely different phase for doing this for myself and my self-growth. And then I say when I'm doing these days and breakdowns, because that has to do with the body and reflection. However, from the brain perspective and the mapping out of the whole mind candy method, that's a completely different thing. And I have to learn to be more forgiving to myself, because that's my biggest challenge, is being kinder to myself. And I think that's something that so many people share, right? We're kind and nice and to our best friends, but to ourselves, we're jerks, right? Well, I wouldn't want to be friends with myself if I talked to myself this way, right? If I had two like, that's why I joked, I came up with my own Jekyll and Hyde. I'm like, well, she's a bitch, right? Like and that's why I call her Dr. Jade. I'm like, she's helping me, but sometimes she's a bitch. So I don't know which one's Jekyll or Hyde. Storytelling and creation throughout things saved me too, because that helped my brain just wander and then go, okay, when I'm in this mood, I'm this character. When I'm this way, I'm in this character. And then I mapped out those things, and then it became, right? You see so many times in motivational stuff, it's funny, like, who build your own superhero? Who's your superhero? This is what I want to be on. Be like super, you know, and then you see in the movies in real life, and well, that's what comic books are, right? Then they go like into more creation, but a lot of people bridge that with, you know, like development and all that. And I went, okay, I want to like, what would that mean in terms of who am I and where are my villains? Where are my villains? Where are my demons? And then taking it beyond even superheroes. And so I went, okay, let's take the whole world, right? And I call it Elegantly Outrageous world is the world we live in and the characters. And then what if we were to expand in our minds that universe? Who's in our heads? What characters we have of ourselves? When are we heroes? When are we villains? Then further into and I see it as the whole, like everything, like we go into space, what would that be? And it sounds crazy, but it's like, what's the space in our head? Because this is our own universe that we really don't realize who's in that space, who gets in our head, and how are you protecting it? Because funny enough, the person that was the worst, like all of these people that surrounded in my life, and as I, you know, realized, okay, that's not healthy for me, that's not healthy. Why? Because my self-talk changed, that I started to recognize these things, which was actually making me ill. But right, because if you're in the changing environment, the things that can change a person, right? And that's why people need help. And that's why really you're here. If you're watching this video, that's probably what the intentions are behind it, is the help. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe you're watching it for some other reason. I don't know when they come out where that would go. That's a whole side note. Haha. But I say that that goes back to the jokes of what the internet is, and plugging something in, if it goes somewhere, which is a whole matrix thing, and which I actually, in my head, it goes back to the space of, and I say that in a way of letting go. Because if you were taking these videos, they're private, they're things, right, for yourself, right? And then you're getting more comfortable on camera, you're talking to yourself, you're putting yourself out there. Okay, now what if somebody saw it? And that's the next level. And I had to actually come to an understanding. That's what actually had to start to build my confidence, is like, well, what if? Oh my God, that would be the worst thing in the world if so-and-so saw the videos. So-and-so, who's so-and-so? Okay, well, why would you care if so-and-so? Like, a lot of people think in general, like that goes back to, if you were to do a speech, are you afraid of being in front of the crowd of people in general? Okay, why? What if we change the crowd to people that you are comfortable with? Okay. And then they say, picture these people in their underwear, haha, but it minimizes really the audience and that intimidation. But really, what's the issue? The confidence in people looking at you. What are you saying? What are you doing? Well, put yourself on camera, that's a whole other thing. Now the audience changes. Okay, what if you got to choose the audience? At first, you're not choosing it. And I just say all of these things because there's meaning in the world we live in to wake you up to get more comfortable with yourself. And in my depression, I started to be more creative with that thought process, which actually took my body through a process as I was getting my memories back. So my situation, I had severe PTSD, severe trauma. I didn't have my memories in my lifetime basically until 2020. I knew things, but I didn't actually have a memory. And I'm not going to get into the details of that, but that's exact. But I realized so many people actually don't. They think they do, but they don't. That have experienced trauma, we shut down and we become different people. So you might have bits and pieces of memory that you don't realize. People that have extremely good memories might have a hard time, like, are good, or like their memory, like they're just really, might be so good at it, but their perception might be very off. And I've noticed that with a lot of people that are exceptional at remembering details, situations, things. However, I've noticed a lot of times those people have a harder time switching roles. So in your life, think about it this way. You're the star, right? You want to be the star of your own life. It's uncomfortable, but if you're the star, you're the director, you're the writer, you're the producer, you're all of those things that you get to create. Now flip roles, right? So what's the perspective from all those things? Okay, now who are you casting into your story? Who's already there? Who maybe do you want to recast? Because maybe they're not serving you. And is the number one person that needs to be recast as a star, I realized for myself, was me, because I sucked. Just something to think about.